You may remember from one of my previous videos that I enjoyed the game Seikatsu, published by IDW. That's a game that I still play quite regularly as a simple filler, as a gateway game for people that do not play games regularly. It's just very simple but very pleasant. So I was pretty curious when I was at Gen Con 2019 and I was walking by the booth of IDW and I saw this game called Tonari, because at least from the look, it looked very similar to Seikatsu. It will turn out that the mechanics are quite different. Actually, they're pretty much the opposite, as in fact in Seikatsu you place high quality plastic discs on the board, and in Tonari you remove them. But still, I was curious, I stopped by, I wanted to learn more about it, and after I played it, I'm now going to tell you a little bit about what I think. The game plays between 2 and 4 players, but it really shines with 3 or 4 for reasons that will become clear, but if you only have 2, that's perfectly fine. So the board is this hexagonal grid where you will place these really nice to look at and nice to manipulate, to move around the discs representing different types of fish and or different special actions. We are all on the same boat, figuratively and not literally, well, not really. So figuratively and figuratively, we are Japanese fishermen and fisherwomen, I guess, and we're all on the same boat, and we'll go around collecting fish. The boat at the beginning of the game starts on the central space, and then players alternate moving the boat, usually by one space, that is into an adjacent space that has a tile, and collecting the corresponding tile. It is as simple as that. So say it's my turn, and then I move here because there's a tile, and I collect the tile and I put it in my personal play area. The next player goes, moves the boat there, and they collect that and they put it in their play area. Then the next player goes, takes that one, and so on and so forth. It's really this simple. And you continue like this until the boat cannot move. At that point, the game is over and you will score victory points. Simple, right? The only exception to all of this, so moving into an adjacent space, is to catch this guy here that has a 5 there. The only way to catch that fish is to move in a straight line across a single empty hexagon, zoom, and then you dart in, and that is how you catch that guy. Super simple. There are some tiles that allow you to do special things when you get there. This one allows you to destroy a tile. Oh, this one, important thing, if you are next to a tile, and you have to take a tile if you can. So if you're, say, stuck here, my only legal move is to go there, and that's why sometimes you end up with the trash, which will be worth minus 5 points at the end of the game. This one allows you to switch 2 tiles around. Where are some other actions? Oh yeah, remove some from the board already. There's one that doubles the value of one of your fish. And here with the rulebook, it'll be easier to show you how you score points at the end of the game. So you simply move around until the boat cannot move, and sometimes that will mean that there are almost no discs on the board, and sometimes there's still quite a number of discs, just the players got the boat stuck. And maybe you have a huge advantage, and that's what you want to do precisely, to end the game early. At the end of the game, you will score sets of fish of the same color. So you check red, blue, green, and yellow. Each set you score differently, and you see the number of points that you score based on the number of fish that you have of that color. 2 red will be worth 3 points for me, but if I had 4, then these 4 will be worth 10 points. Then you look at the shrimps. A player with the most shrimps scores 8 points, everybody else nothing. If there is a tie, no one scores that. And I've seen that happen a lot of times, to the point that I'm kind of a little bit, I don't know, suspicious or skeptical about the the shrimp. At least I wasn't able to score it very often. Purple gives you trash, we saw that, and the pink is simply worth 53 points, but you need to do that weird jump to collect it. And then you also have a player aid that tells you about the special abilities of the very special tiles, including this one that means that it will double the value that you get from scoring one of these 4 kinds: the blue, the red, the yellow, or the green. This is how it works. Go around with the boat, collect points, and score victory points, and at the end of the game, the player with the highest score wins the game. However, the description that I gave you applies strictly only to the 2-player game. With 3 and 4 players, you calculate your score. Each player calculates their score individually, but your final actual score will be the sum of your own personal score plus that of the next player in turn order. So if I'm here, here's Luisa, that is Amelia. My score is actually going to be the sum of my own and Luisa's. Luisa's going to be the sum of Luisa's and Amelia's. Amelia's going to be the sum of her own and my own. So ideally you want to be super nice to the person next to you, not to the point that they score more than you, but if they score a lot, you add that to yours, and the player before you doesn't score a lot, then you're still gonna win. But there is that extra plot twist. You have to keep an eye on what other players are doing, and that adds a whole other level of thinking. And that's pretty interesting for a game that, after all, is this simple. Tonari is such a simple game. It is not necessarily one of those games that are minimalistic in the sense that they are super simple in terms of rules, but then they develop great depth. It is a game that has simple rules, that looks simple, and it is simple in terms of gameplay. It's not super deep, but that's okay. There is room for that in the collection of a gamer. There is room for a game of this kind in the menu of a game night. One with casual gamers, and also, of course, one with hardcore gamers that want to warm up, or at the end of the night when everybody is tired, even exhausted, but you want to play just one more game. Then you have a game that you can teach in a couple of minutes, that is so easy to set up, that looks so beautiful. Basically, you just dump the components on the board and you shuffle them a little bit, and voila, presto, the game is set up. Speaking of setup, I want to show you the presentation of the game in the box, because it is just very nice. Just very nice. That attention to detail, which I also remember from Seikatsu, I really appreciate it. And the fact that now publishers even worry or are concerned about how is the game going to look like in the box. It's going to be pretty when it is stored. That tells you of the kind of changes that we're having in our hobby, in which in fact the hobby is now mainly geared towards, middle-class adults that have more money to spend, and that have an appreciation for that kind of aesthetic experience. Middle-class adults, they may have more money to spend, but maybe not as much time to play. And so, again, a game that is so simple, so quick to play, so intuitive. Well, it can definitely have an audience. I know I'm part of that audience because I know that I enjoyed playing this game. I played with my daughters, 7 and 9. They liked it. They had no problem getting it, and they had no problem actually playing it efficiently and seeing some of the interesting elements, which is that there is a semi-cooperative element in which I want to be nice to the next player. That's why you really need more than 2 players, I believe, to have that level that makes the game stand out. But at the same time, you don't mind being cutthroat in the sense especially of figuring out a way of ending the game as soon as possible when you realize that you have an advantage. In that sense, again, the game is less friendly than it may look like, because it's not hard to end the game. I would say that after a couple of moves, almost every player will have a chance almost every turn to trigger a chain of events that will lead to the conclusion of the game in a couple of turns. And then because of that, of course, you want to make sure that as the other players take their last actions, they don't revert the situation. So actually, also because of that, because how easy it is to end the game abruptly, players may try to avoid that, may even make deals and agreements. Hey, why don't we do something like this or something like that? But because of that, you will see that a certain balance will tend to be in play, because, well, you don't want anybody to emerge to get too much of a lead, otherwise they will just shut down the game. And no, maybe there's more to the strategy than meets the eye actually, but that's not even the point. The point is that simply a game that is so simple, I move and I collect my tokens and I try to score them, and I may commit to get the shrimps, which is great if I can score them. Totally annoying if it's there's a tie for shrimps. Even more annoying if another player sets up a situation that another player is forced to take shrimps and then to tie with me. So different ways of scoring for something that simple, to me, is definitely enough to keep me interested. It really does not hurt that the game has those plastic pieces that are just so fun, so pleasant to manipulate and move around. Tonari is a very simple and pleasant game. I like Seikatsu, and in a sense this is the opposite of Seikatsu gameplay wise, because you're removing things and collecting things. But for a game this simple, move the boat and pick up a game piece and score what you have at the end, there are more wrinkles than you would expect. Still remains a simple game, and in this case I do believe that its simplicity is its strength, because the game remains pleasant and very playable, very quick, very enjoyable. Tonari, it's a game that I definitely enjoyed it. I recommend it, well, to pretty much anybody and everybody. Families, if you're planning to play with children, to introduce your casual friends to casual gaming. And again, as a filler, it can also work in regular game night among hardcore gamers. Tonari, I really enjoyed it.